Hey, so I just got back from training and I'm like kind of into this idea that I've been playing around with, and I was blathering about it to Kevin. He's like, you need to just go turn that into a vlog. So if you guys enjoy this, you can thank Kevin for making me come out here and make a vlog about it. But basically, I'm really into this idea that training is like baking and fighting is like cooking. So what the hell do I mean by like that, and why is that important in any way? So baking is like all about recipes and like known methodologies and exact ingredients. There are like kind of measurements and like tried and trusted. You have to go at this temperature for this long, like all of this type of stuff that's very like precise and exact and kind of more sciencey. That's training. Training has a lot of things in that. This is how you do something. You work on the technique. You try to make everything as precise and repeatable as possible. But the thing about it, the thing about baking and the thing about training is that you actually don't know how it's going to turn out until you've put it in the oven or you go in a fight and actually use it under pressure. So like the heat of the oven and the time spent in the oven is the pressure and heat or whatever of an actual fight. Fights are like cooking rather than like baking. They're imprecise, they're very intuitional. You can taste as you go. You can kind of like change things or just be like, fuck, this would be awesome with some rosemary. Like put some in there, and sometimes you're wrong. Sometimes it's not awesome with rosemary, but sometimes it's like you've just changed the recipe and it's incredible. It's way more experimental, and there's a lot more like wiggle room in fighting than there is in how you train. And I definitely felt this in the way that I just fought. So it was March the last time I fought prior to this past Sunday. So there was 9 months between my two fights of 2021. I normally fight like 25, 30 times a year. I fought twice this year. That's weird for me. But part of what was so different for me in that process is that I was training so much. Like so much of what this year has been is just training. So I've been spending all this time baking, like doing all of this precision stuff, and just now, having already fought on Sunday, today's Wednesday, I'm back at the gym, I'm training, I'm like working on stuff myself. I sparred with Yod Pan this morning. I'm back to this like making things more precise, trying to like iron out things that I felt weren't right. And it's not like baking is like a robot's job. You still feel things and you still have kind of like, there's that meme about when you're making chocolate chip cookies, never believe anyone who says how many cups it is, you measure that shit with your heart. That's in baking too. Like there's that kind of thing in your training, and you're trying to learn how to feel things, and through experience, you gain the feeling of that so that you're like, I don't actually need a measuring cup to know what a quarter cup of flour is like. I can fudge it a little bit, like when you're making your grandma's pancakes or whatever. And so I've been doing that for most of the year with my fighting, with my training, but then I didn't know. I was very nervous going into this fight about like how much of my training I'd actually be able to bring into the ring with me. And the reason I was nervous about that is because it means something to me. Like I wanted to bring a lot of the things I've been working on into the pressure of a fight, which is the like putting it in the oven. And I hope this cake is exactly the way it's supposed to be, because I've put so much effort into making this cake the way it's supposed to be. And sometimes it just kind of comes out wonk. Like sometimes it just doesn't come out exactly the way you thought it would, or it's like tougher than your way their grandma made it, or it's just kind of like, it's just something not quite right. So you try to like cover it with icing or whatever the thing is. So then when I was in my fight, I wasn't doing the things that I wanted to be doing. I was doing other things that I wasn't even thinking about. And I got to be kind of, more experimental and intuitional to solve the issues that my opponent was bringing into my face in that fight, to be able to adapt to it. And what's kind of interesting is that a lot of the training I've been doing made me able to make that kind of change under the pressure of the fight, in the fight, even though it's not a direct, like, I put this much flour in, it should come out this way kind of thing. It's like, I put this much time into measuring, and some people like do this other thing. I don't know. The metaphor is falling apart there. But so I'm really into this idea that training is like baking with its precision and not knowing how it's going to turn out until you've put it in the oven and taken it out and let it cool and you can taste it. Whereas fighting is way more kind of like intuitive and feel it and taste it as you go, and kind of like throw in weird ingredients and you kind of have more of an idea of how it's working out during the process of a fight than you know how things are working out during the process of training. So that's my vlog. I was excited about that. I actually came to this part of the yard because George is out here. So I don't know if we've actually fully introduced George in video. So while he has nothing to do with this vlog, I'm totally just gonna grab him and introduce you guys to him. Come here, baby. He's the king of the castle. Come on. This is George. George is a bun. He's got this awesome floof that's especially good in the morning. And we're having a little bit of a hard day together because he ate my flowers in the yard. I'm mad at him. So we're having a little bit of a misunderstanding today. But that's okay. George is good. Thanks, guys.